Madam Deputy Speaker, I welcome any debate which has the collective security of the British people at its heart, because, Madam Deputy Speaker, I believe one of the greatest threats to security is the economic system governing this country, which has consistently failed working class people and communities, an issue which undoubtedly will be made worse still by the illegal and ill-planned war in Iran. So now more than ever, we need a radical restructuring of both priorities and policies, more council housing, a total end to right to buy, the nationalisation of our key industries sold off and gutted by Thatcher, including water and energy. And in 2026, no one in Britain should be going hungry. So I welcome the recognition in the King's speech from the government that a food poverty crisis exists in the UK. However, redistribution of surplus food won't begin to end the food insecurity faced by over 14 million people in this country. It's a stick and plaster over the gaping wound. We need a solution that acknowledges the sheer scale of hunger across the UK. Over the last 5 months, the Right to Food Commission, I am proud to be part of, has travelled across these islands from Liverpool, Knowsley to Newcastle, Northumberland, from Cardiff and Aberdeen to Belfast, with Glasgow and London to come next month, listening to people this country too often ignores. Not economists in boardrooms, not corporate lobbyists, but working class people in working class communities who understand better than anyone the scale of food insecurity in this country and how it is impacting the lives and health of the very people. The people living every day in hunger, every single day, and living with its consequences. The Commission have gathered evidence for what I believe will be a defining report for our generation, a roadmap to finally making the right to food the law of the land, because, Madam Deputy Speaker, in one of the richest countries on earth, millions of our people are going hungry, and that should shame every single one of us in this place. And I say this truthfully because what I've heard over the last few months has left me absolutely devastated. I've sat with parents skipping meals so their kids can eat. I've listened to disabled people tell us they're sitting in freezing homes deciding whether to put the heating on or buy food, let alone a treat, a date trip, or God forbid a holiday. I've met with workers in full-time jobs relying on food banks to survive, and that, Madam Deputy Speaker, is the scandal of modern Britain. Because these people are not failing, Britain is failing them. We have heard evidence from PCS union members outlining how civil servants are using food banks because of low pay. The Bakers Union reports on how the very workers who make our food cannot afford to put it on their own tables. Think about how obscene that is. Think about how flawed our economic system must be if it results in this. And let us not stop pretending that this happens by accident. It did not. This is the result of political decisions, 40 years in neoliberal economics that have seen people and communities disempowered and left behind, industries destroyed, trade union power weakened, public services hollowed out, wages and incomes driven down while wealth flows upwards. And then after that, people are told to be grateful for charity. Madam Deputy Speaker, food banks were never supposed to be part of British life. They're the clearest sign our economy and society is broken. But an entire generation of children are now growing up believing food banks are normal. That is not normal. It is not acceptable, and also it's not inevitable, because hunger in Britain is not caused by a lack of food. It's caused by poverty. That is the truth at the heart of this debate, not scarcity, poverty, low wages, insecure work, sky-high rents, broken security system, and an economic system that pretends wealth while punishing the poor. That's why I say gently to the government ministers, surplus food redistribution is not a solution to hunger. Yes, any support for struggling families matters, of course it does, but we cannot build a just system, just society on leftovers. We cannot normalise emergency charity as permanent public policy, and we cannot allow food banks to become the fourth emergency service of the British state, because if we do, we are accepting managed poverty instead of ending it, and I reject that completely. Earlier this week, the Mayor of Greater Manchester spoke about the damage done by 40 years in neoliberal economics, and he was spot on, because everywhere the Commission has travelled, there was a sense deep in communities that people have been abandoned. In Northumberland, one woman said something I will never ever forget. She said, "Don't you dare call us disadvantaged, call us asset stripped." And my God, Madam Deputy Speaker, she was right. That is exactly what has happened to working class Britain. Asset stripped. hope stripped, industry stripped, security stripped, and then those very communities are blamed and demonised for the consequences of political choices. But despite everything, despite all the hardship, those communities still fight for one another. That was the beautiful thing we witnessed everywhere we went. Solidarity is still alive in this country. Working class people still feeding each other, looking after each other, organising together. Show more humanity in church halls and community centres than many have ever experienced from government. And that is the spirit, and that is what the Right to Food campaign is built upon, because people do not want charity forever. They want dignity, they want security, they want to know they can feed their families without fear. Madam Deputy Speaker, hunger is a political choice. And if hunger is a political choice, then ending hunger must become a political priority. That means universal free school meals, it means wages people can actually live on, it means secure work, stronger trade unions, it means proper enforcement of illegal right to food, and it means investment in community kitchens and local food programmes. And it means finally rebuilding a welfare state that protects people instead of punishing them. And yes, price caps on essential items. These are not extreme demands. They're the bare minimum standards of a civilised society. Because in 21st century Britain, nobody should be going hungry. In the community we have visited, everybody agreed food is our most basic human right, and good food should be a fundamental human right for all. And right to food will place this at the very heart of government decision making. And history will ask all of us in this house a very simple question. When millions of children were going hungry, what did you do about it? I know what side I'm on.
Yeah.